Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how to use thought smartly. If you look around, many people that I kind of talk to, the burnout doctors, nurses, the IT professionals, they are having too much of thinking, right? And some thoughts people turn negative and inward, and they get deeper and deeper, and then we call it the depression. All the negativity about thought, right? Some people are positive, they build on the positivity and affirm and then do that, but still they are not calm and peaceful at times, and they have to take medication or alcohol or smoking, something like that, right? A crutch. But is there a way to understand thought and use it when you need it? Otherwise, don't cling to the thoughts. That we can do by understanding all the insights that we have on how thought arises, how thought goes through us, how we cling to them, how we give them life, how we make them into a network and get caught in that, right? So, can you be quiet without thoughts? Can you be uh, targeted thoughting? And then also let go the old thoughts. Don't allow them to go into your mind, go again, 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 and then form a base for themselves. So, I'm an informatician, I'm a physician, I'm a yogi, and all that, right? But as an informatician, my thesis was information overload and its effects on the current generation, right? So, it is really remarkable how many people are addicted to the devices that we have, the phones, the iPads, the other things. Can you just put them away and be peaceful for a while? That's the test I think everybody can, have for themselves and see how addicted they are to the information, to continuous thoughts and all. See, it used to be you can put everything aside and then just relax in the chair with a friend, have a conversation, nice conversation, nothing about, and just to be with each other. That was good enough. Okay, or we talked about music or novels or whatever, right? But then just staying there with no real discussions and all that, that used to be very heavenly. And also with the nature, you go and sit under the tree, and if you have an instrument you want to play, you can play, or you can listen to um, musical instruments, only music, no lyrics or anything at all. That kind of peace of mind is kind of very rare these days. But being in yoga, I know what it feels to be peaceful when I don't have to think all the time. I only think only when I need. And also, I dump the thoughts that are done. And then it's a thoughtless state that you will enjoy once you come to know and practice and then really keep it away. It starts with this. Suppose I am overloaded with a lot of thinking, and I'm also doing that all the time. I'm thinking the same thing again and again. That thought makes for itself a highway in our brain and gets embedded there. And when we are not even thinking about it, something automatically it comes, and we say, "Oh, thoughts are coming on their own." But we have given some impetus for that in the past. Understanding that mechanism. So if I have automatic thoughts or unconscious thought, I better watch it. I let it go through me, and I let it dump it after that. If you can do that every day, calming your mind, and really um, staying with the thought and looking at it, what it is and all that. See, basically, thoughts are not us. Thoughts happen to us. So, who is that us? That is the self you want to be. That is all the teachings about in the East, and all the meditation. Everything is about really understanding thoughts and their repercussions and their eventualities and all that. And then having this state of peace, which is our natural state, is to understand the mechanism of thought, right? So, suppose you are having a lot of information, you start with that. Don't have to deceive ourselves like I don't have any thoughts in the beginning. I have a lot of thoughts coming up. They are coming on their own and they are coming from different directions. The moment I see one person, I get all the history about him, his image, and everything there. So, that kind of thing happens because you are not attention to what you are doing, what is happening in front of you. You are letting the mind come and make you live in the mind. If you are in the present, you are not in the mind. But if you are in the past or the future, then you are in the mind, you are in thoughts. So thought itself is not bad thing, but how we use it is important. Otherwise, there can be so many thoughts that can consume our energy. That means you are not focused in what you are doing. See, people who are in flow, who work very, very long hours, but they're not tired because they're not thinking anything else. They're just doing it as they know. Any craft, anything, we know that, right? Those moments when we are in flow, and I'm doing continuously because we know the technology, we know the processes, we know what has to be done, what has to not to be done. Then we flow, right? And that's a very good state to be in. That's what I learned from Patanjali Yoga Sutras. They give you a very good understanding of mind and how to still the mind. Okay, so if you taste the eternal, if you taste the essence of yours as Atman, self, whatever you call it, consciousness or energy or love, God, whatever you call it, once you are established in that, then the taste of eternal stills your mind. And once the mind is still, it can regenerate so better, it will operate better. Suppose some challenges come, and then you go and think about it, I want to find it, that's fun. Then we are trying to explore something and then we got to the, it is the old thought, it is the not left of thought, but clinging to the thought. That's what we need to understand. So understanding so many things coming at me, then you bring your focus to one thing. That's where the puja or worship for a particular frame or focusing on one person's voice, whatever appeals to you, one pointedness, you come to learn to be slowing the thought first. That is for the deep breathing. And then holding those thoughts and then identifying the thought is negative or positive. If it's negative, try to think something positive about it at that time. And so from number of thoughts, you can come to few thoughts, you can come to one thought. It takes maybe a lot of practice according to the person, according to the sincerity of the person. But then once you are in one thought, go beyond it. Who is having the thought? The person or the self is it. So thought is our instrument, our tool. So don't identify with the thought. Suppose it says you are a doctor, your job is a doctor, but you are not doctor, right? You are more like a you kind of land and you performing as a doctor, you are helping people. That's why your profession, right? So we identify with the professions as us, but actually we are not. So once you have that clarity, then you can change negative thoughts, you can pursue positive thoughts if you want to, and then reinforce them. And this is the neuroplasticity, where you reinforce your thinking in a positive way so that it can create a new brain, right? So from all desperate thoughts, so many thoughts, you have slowed them down first, and then you move to few thoughts, then you move to one thought, and then you are beyond the thought. That is the thoughtless state. It's called samadhi in yoga, and that is very, very. So you got to do this every day. Don't be sold on the latest technology, latest thing and all. They're all tools. That's fine. But then, how they are controlling you, how they are taking over, watch that. Then you know how addicted you are or not. Or you may be unconsciously doing those things because you have learned and you spend so much time. Then you get to take some time, first of all, calming the mind, stilling the thought, and going beyond the thought. And if you have a lot of negative thoughts, a lot of things going on, try to eliminate them or empty them from your mind every night. That's a good practice. So, first understand the mechanism, then go and be in the present and use the thought. But if your thoughts are too many, then slow them down and go to one thought and go beyond it and stay in that. See, for me, whenever I get caught up in the lot of thoughts and all that, I remember what Raman Maharshi said about one's attention has always to be poised on one's inner real self. Okay, that sentence immediately shows me I caught up in the network of thought made by the thought itself. Then immediately I know one's attention has to be poised on one's inner self. One's attention has to be poised always on inner self. So you be that inner self, you be that awareness, and then use thought. Then you will be much better off with that. Okay, does it make sense? I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions on that. But the result is no matter what happening, they are happening in our mind. Either we are recollecting the past or we are going and dreaming about the future. That's all okay, but that is not real in the present. That's all. So whenever you check, am I in the present? That means you are kind of putting those streams of thought about the past, about the future away, so that you can be really dealing with. Suppose you are talking to somebody and then they're telling you something and you don't pay attention, then you go to your memory or something in the future, then you are not really relating with the person, right? So being in the present helps the human relationship and also helps you to communicate better. Then they listen to you and you listen to them. Then in that moment, magic happens. You click, okay? You kind of understand each other, and then you can go your own way without retaining all that except the learning experience, except what you have to learn from the past discussion, all that. So be in the present is an important thing to understand to efficiently use the thought. That means be aware in the moment. That means be in awareness all the time, and then use thought efficiently, and then get rid of the thoughts that are you have used already, and then don't go on thinking about the future, but pay attention to what's happening here and now. If you take care of the present now, then future will be much better. But it's not like living in the future and then not doing what is needed right now. Okay, you can reminiscent to something from the past. What I'm saying is, but don't go live emotionally in the past. You can have a brainstorming for the future and found it. Then just check yourself: am I following that in the present? Am I doing it, or am I just dreaming and living in the so-called dream world? Okay, the execution is important, right? The manifesting is important. So be living in the present means really living the life. Life is not in the past that is dead. Our life is not in the future, right? Life is here now. You can build the future. You can learn lessons from the past, but live the life as it is now currently. Okay, I think a lot of people are not doing it because there are so many stimuli come at us. See, I'm a physician, so you can imagine how many things come at me. and I'm also an information. You can imagine how many things come at me, and I constantly work for other people who asking me so-called solutions or problems, consultations, right? And then I have to ask them what's the problem, what's going on. Then I have to help them and then make them do some things, think about their own things and all that. Okay, but then majority of the time, people don't find a peace of mind even for a moment. That's where I was examining this. Why is it I can be calm after the meetings are over? My other colleagues are not like that. When I ask them, do you experience this peace of mind and quietness in your mind? And they say, no, no, it's hardly there unless I drink a couple of pecks of alcohol. I cannot be silent. And then some people are turning negative and getting deep repressed, so these thoughts bother them in the head. See, many of them they shoot in the head. Why? Because they cannot stop that chatter. So where did I mean from the depression, suicide to from not having sleep? Where did way the people are affected, and this is a real issue. Whereas no matter how the external circumstances are, if you learn the skill of really being in the present, seeing is that happening here, or am I thinking about it and make it overcrowd my present moment? If you can question like that, then a lot of things you can solve because you are not emotionally caught up and reacting, but you are actively planning to respond to the challenge that is present to you. Instead of think about what is needed for that, but don't think about what is going to happen tomorrow, what is going to happen yesterday. Like that is the psychological thought that we don't want to engage in. Okay, but a lot of people do, and they don't know how to really get out of that too. And that's where people are intellectuals get caught up in their own concepts, and they don't ever be in the present. They're always either it has to be answered in the future or it already happened in the past. Okay, so as I see this problem more and more happening, I want to relate to people and tell them you don't have to be bombarded with so much information. Choose what is important for you and only think about it. And also arrange your email box or your notifications, whatever, only what you want to do. Otherwise, don't have to answer, don't have to see everything. Don't watch television news all the time in the phone, or put all the notifications. Watch at a particular hour. That will give you essentials of what's going on in the world, the weather, or it could be something. So there is a way we can detoxify ourselves from this digital overload that's coming on. You know, a lot of people are suffering from that. So wake up in awareness, be in the moment, and clean your mind. That is my formula. In the morning, wake up and be in the present moment, awareness. And as you are uh, going to the work and going through the day, pay attention to everything. Don't let your mind take over and overwhelm you. And in the evening, wash it off, empty it off. So this formula, if you can do every day, that will be a good antidote for this information age. Information age is not bad, but the way they throw information at everything, everybody, that is the thing. Okay, I don't want to control of information and the other thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this commercial promotion and throwing us all the things that we may need or not. Somebody starts an email campaign and that emails go on coming in 3 or 4 years, even if you're done with the product, that's all okay. But because that's because you are there, and they keep on sending you like a one time I went for some conference about um, some podcasting, and then they still send me all information now, whether I need it or not. You know, so it's kind of a, floodgates opened on the access to us through phone, through iPads, to whatever we do, emails and all that. Okay, so think about that. There are people who give a lot of value, and then they should be stopping there. But everything is about getting more clients, more business, and all that. So they don't really pay attention that we are overloading people with a lot of information. So we have to take some commonsensical steps to make sure we are not really bombarded by the information, and then we are not allowing the mind to be bombarded. You can actively do something. That's why I'm talking about this. I mean, there's a lot involved. And not everybody is a psychological patient, or people are getting neurotic. You know? And I think Daryl is here. Daryl, come up. I think this is a topic you and me will always talk about. You say thought is not bad, but how we use thought, that can be understood and intelligently handled if you understand how thought is stimulated, how it traverses through, how we cling to it, how we really not let go and make the thought pave a big pathway for it. You know, that kind of thing. That is a neuroplasticity too, in a positive way, but it can affect in the negative way. That's where the negativity goes, that people don't have confidence in themselves, and then they become depressed and all. So understanding the career of the thought is very important, and understanding thought is not us. Thought is only happening to us, which is our real essence. So my saying of the Ramana Maharshi, one's attention has always to be poised on the inner self, really got me out of a lot of these thought networks very quickly. I do participate in a lot of rooms. I do try to contribute something that will help everybody, but I don't have to retain all that happened by living over it in my mind. Whenever I am, I want to be completely attentive to what I'm doing. Okay, so think about it. There are so many ways you can protect yourself from, first of all, information overload, unnecessary information overload for our lives, and don't know how to not to expose yourself to this onslaught of so many stimuli. And you cultivate a multitasking by not allowing yourself to be attentive. You may be comfortable, you may be in flow with certain things, but other things you are doing, then it will definitely decrease the attention to the task that you are doing. So people who are in flow, they don't think a lot. Okay, they don't, but they do a lot. No, they do things in a sequence that is very familiar to them. That is what I learned from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, is about how to be focused, in flow, and very little energy spent because you are not thinking too much about the task. You may improvise, you may think about it, but then you don't think about how many uh, people I'm going to reach and all that. Just focus on what you're doing and let them be sell by itself. So I know everybody is about selling things and making money and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a valuable skill that we have as human beings, but we have an intelligence above the thought. Hold on to that intelligence, and then you can use thought very effectively. And also, you will have peace from not thinking that much or staying quiet. See, that peace and happiness within, once you touch that, thoughts get stilled. There's a beautiful saying I read other way, very nice. The taste of the eternal makes your mind still. The taste of the eternal makes your mind still. And that stillness is invigorating, peaceful, joyful, blissful. And once you are stationed there, you don't want to engage in arguments, you don't want to talk about things, and you can have friendly exchange of opinions, and then you can defer that, but don't cling on to the concepts as though this is the only way. Okay, so these are all very important things, so uh, especially as the children are getting crushed by this, they are getting used to the phones and they cannot be separated from the phones, right? And the entire world is pouring into that through the phone. So parents have no say anymore. It is my father knows best or the parents know the best, and then you have a kind of responsibility and uh, really being responsive to the family, to the values and all. But now, so many people are teaching them, so you have no control of them, and then they are becoming neurotic too, and adults have become neurotic too. But then youngsters also, they're getting more depressed, more suicidal rate, and very low attention span. They can't even sit down and have a conversation, and they have to chat everything. So all those factors are not good for the if you want a responsible, focused adult down the line, this information is going to be too much, and then they're already neurotic. A lot of people, a lot of kids are. But then uh, when you follow that, um, then it's a sad thing that is happening, right? So okay, so think about that. How to be smart about thought. Don't cling on to what you know as the only thing. Question that. Okay, question that, and then it will be uh, easy for you to investigate into the thought structure, thought way it operates, and how to be really intelligent about the thought and use the thought for the make you feel better and make you learn things better, make use those things better, and also understand yourself much deeper way. And you can take a vacation every day by emptying your mind. Listen to the formula I said. Wake up in awareness and stay with it as long as possible. And then be attentive to whatever you're doing and be in the moment, in the present. And at the end of the day, you have so many reactions through the day. Before sleeping, just wipe them off and go to sleep. Then the sleep restores your mind, restores your body also. I have a guest here, Sarah. Let's talk to her. Hello, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
I am pretty good. How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Okay.
I was just interested in your conversation about journaling.
Oh, yeah. Journaling is also putting down things from our mind onto the journal. Uh,
Hmm.
and you're supposed to leave it there, but then people live on it by, affirming again and again. So just pouring out all the thoughts so that the mind is empty, and also you will get some organization of what I'm thinking about, idea about how to go about things and all that. That's a good practice. But I'm talking about after you put on the journal, forget it, empty it from the mind completely.
Hmm. And in your estimation,
Mm.
uh, if you just want to, let's say, write about your day,
Mm.
or if you choose to create a gratitude journal,
Yeah,
or what do you find to be
yeah,
um, the best type of journaling for just general
yeah.
well-being?
That's a very good question, Sarah. Yeah, you write about each interaction you have, only the insight you have.
Insights, did you say?
Yeah, insight of that conversation. What is the essence of it? What is the insight I have by talking to this person? Whatever. Not the whole emotional reactions, not the whole conversation details, not that, but the insight you want to learn so that you can apply it in your life. That will be very effective journaling. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it's primarily the insights that you discover
Yeah.
throughout the day. Do you do this at the end of the day?
End of the day, yeah. End of the day, what you do is you write down all those insights and then forget for the night. That's the key. They are already there. You can come back to them next and then you can reinforce that. That will be a good habit that you can develop a technique or whatever. That is a positive affirmation of your insights. So I talked to somebody, they made me upset like this, but then why my mind is upsetting just because they have a different opinion? That becomes no reaction from your mind from then onwards. And then you have no overload.
Okay, no. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good question, Sarah put it. Journaling is good if you can do it properly and use that in a way that you're not clinging to every small detail and all that. Okay. For example, I said, are you thinking too much? Are you having the brain overload? Then how is that you're going to address that? See, many people are without their knowledge because these intellectually prone people, they only think. They never really stop thinking. And they think that's a virtue. For me, that's more like a neurotic behavior. And all of us, doctors, everybody, we are becoming like that. Only the people who are taking up some practice where they have to be mindful, they want to meditate, they want to be aware, and they actively do something, they are able to really withstand the onslaught of this overthinking, onslaught of this information. People have practices like journaling. But then if you write out every detail of it and you're living through it, what's the point of it? Then very soon you will be overloaded with your own journaling. And also, once you put it out there, it will be there. Why do you have to remember all that? See, that's what people cannot let go. So before you go to bed, journal it, but then put them out of your mind. So actually, I have a process, I call it a review of reactions. Not only just what is to be done, but a review of, for example, I'm in the hospital in the morning, 8 o'clock, and I was rushed by my nurse because there is a serious patient in ICU. And I go there, and immediately everybody's screaming at each other because they are losing the patient. And I was called to help with the patient, and I go there, and then I remain calm. I see what is needed and then do it because everybody else is agitated going on. Then I told them, as a leader of the team, I'll tell them when something happens, don't react emotionally, but respond to the situation. And many of them say, oh, it's our human frailty, we react. It's not. It's a question of you never learned how to not react but respond to things. And you take deep breaths at the time and then really ask ourselves, what is it that is needed to be done here? And attend to that. That way, then I go out of there. I have a meeting at 10 o'clock and I go to this meeting, executive committee. All the department chairs are there, and we are talking about some funding of a project, for example. And I felt the project is not going to get more patients or more services for the patient, so it may not be needed. You are wasting your money. So I tell them, and then they are all upset because they're gung ho on getting that. I'm telling a hypothetical situation that we go through. Then, if I engage in an argument, if I kind of back and forth, then a lot of energy is lost. But if I go back and see what is that they want to do, why they want to do, and why that is good or bad, that kind of sane thinking will help them to solve the patient problem by looking at all the alternatives much better. Suppose I reacted very insulted in that meeting, and then at the end of the day, if it's still going on, that hurt, that feeling or whatever, then look at that and say, they express their opinion, why do you have to react like that? So you have developed an ego and you don't know how to not to get out. So you identify with your role and you say, I'm this one, that's why I know I have this position that I'm going to tell. That is really pure, it's not true, because just because you have a role doesn't mean you are the authority for everything. Truth is authority, not your role, not your ego, not any of that. So the reflection gets better and better as you begin to write. So what I do is at the end of the day, I recall all these events, maybe in reverse order, from the dinner to evening to afternoon to morning. And then if they are trivial, like I say, I don't have to get hurt just because that person said something different. Who is it getting hurt? My ego. So I am trying to transcend my ego. So why do I have to give more strength to that? And then wash it off. So all the trivialities that I consider, for me, everything is trivial. All the trivials, I dump it. But suppose there's a meeting, there is a future commitment, there's a book writing, whatever you have, those things you want to remember, those you put it journaling or on a device, and then forget it for the night only. Next morning you can come and revisit that. But people keep all that agendas, what is involved, everything in there, and then they have multiple people managing that and all. But if you make your inner life very quiet, very silent, very to the point, that means what is important to you only you are going to pay attention. Then it is much easier to pay attention, to prepare for them, and to do their better than go on keeping everything in your mind. So practice this in the morning. 15 minutes, calm yourself. And in the evening, calm yourself. At this time, at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, dump everything in your mind. The trivialities, dump them for sure. What is important things, then write them down and forget it for the night. It's very difficult in the beginning, but start practicing at some point. Especially be aware we are getting all sorts of unnecessary information and we don't know how to do that. The danger I see it is that, like, I will give an example of somebody smoking. And when he is smoking, he may know that this is not good that much, but he doesn't know the suffering of the cancer, of the COPD at the end of life if you continue to smoke for years. Like that, if you go on automatically thinking, and thinking is the only thing that is there, thinking is not your instrument, but you are not in charge, and it's controlling you, and it's go on building its pathways of thought. Then when you are old, all these things that happened earlier, they come to your mind, but you don't have the memory for the recent events to be effective in your life. I see it my patients, a lot of them, elderly people, they can't live with this chatter in their mind. That is the thing you're doing for the future by not paying attention to how I'm thinking, how should I make my mind clean every day, that kind of thing. Okay? So this very important thing, people are neglecting it. But because I happen to be a physician and yogi, and also informatician, so I deal with the mind, thought processes, emotions, and the price we are paying by not attending to the thought processes now. Okay, so learn to be quiet. If not peace and silent, like I'm talking about, that will come later. But just to be aware, just sit down with yourself in the morning for 15 minutes and see what's going on in your mind. Watch them. I, I do this morning routine every day. One of the four things I want people to do is watch their thoughts. Learn the habit of watching your thoughts. Don't say this thought is good, that thought is bad. No, just to watch it. Just get the habit of watching it. And who is that watcher? That is your real inner self. You are never in touch with that. You may be in touch with the ego or the personality that you built up with the thought, This is a thought structured ego or personality. That's not you. That you built it up. It's a shame. It's a uh, shadow of your real self, right? But once you are in the real self, as I said, the taste of that eternal self stills your mind. Okay, if you cannot go all the way, just watch. So, four things I want people to do in the morning routine: stretch your body, get all the tension out, and breathe into the stretches. Thereby, you are much more energized. And then, once you attend to the body and the mind and the breathing, then the third thing is you want to be in the present. As you stretch, as you breathe, pay attention to what is happening to your body at that moment. You are having maybe more tension or less tension, or you're having some pain or whatever, right? And then that way you keep your mind here, right? You and then fourth thing is watch your thoughts. These are four things you do, and three attitudes you take to the work. That was to not to react too easily, and develop the service attitude, and be equanimous to both wins and the losses. These are all taken because people are getting in the bed and get in the morning, and then they just take a shower and quickly run without paying any attention to what is happening to their mind at work, what other reactions they are having. So they are always developing unconscious habits, and they are not attending to them, and that's why they go there and they immediately react and then develop this sympathetic nervous system activation that is very stressful. They have phantom dangers. The system was there to help us in the real danger. When ancient times it was there, so that brain has developed, and that is the limbic system we call about. But now your mind is imagining dangers. There are a lot of things that you imagine, and you may be worried about getting fired or getting laid off or whatever like that, right? It may not be there at that moment, but then you imagine that we fall into the trap of building the sympathetic overtone, which gives you high blood pressure, high blood sugar, heart attacks, and all that. So the solution for this is a very simple thing that we have all have is breathe deeply all the time, as much as time, or at least in the morning, in the evening. What it does is it activates the other autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. That is the one, the vagus nerve, from all the head to lot of organ, and that is really going to make you rest and digest. That is going to help you be non-reactive when you see some things, trivial things, right? So we are conditioned, priming ourselves in the wrong way, and then we're going to the work, and then we're saying the work is giving me stress. But what did you prepare to encounter all those challenges equanimously, nicely? Okay, that's why anything comes at me, I am unperturbed, but I do things better in that unperturbed state. So things build on success. Or even if I lose something, I'm not perturbed. I want to learn from it. That's not a loss or weight or anything. So that kind of thing. There's a lot about modern life and a lot of phantom things that we are looking at. They're not really uh, not really surmountable. They are surmountable. They are not that big obstacle that you cannot get over. But you got to attend to them slowly as they begin to build up. So everybody is going on talking, going on spreading more information, all that, but they are not doing these things on themselves. So morning, quiet, not you don't have to call meditation. Sit down and take deep breaths and pay attention to the air coming in and out with your mind being there. That is a very simple thing. If you can do that, always sit with your back straight and then take the breath with the mouth closed with the nose, and then feel the air coming in and out. There's so much more in the pranayama. For me, that made all the difference when I was doing physical yoga only without attention to breath that much. But once I learned that, the everything has become so much easier. Okay, even when I was ill, that helped me. Even when I was difficult meetings, that helped me. So many benefits are there. Apart from aerobic metabolism is enhanced, so that you have radical elements, or all the oxidative stress that we accumulate during the work is gone. So it's like going in there and then going into the psychological mess that is going on in the workplace. And then we also participate in that. We get the victim of that. That's when they are burned out. They are stressed out. They may think that, oh, I'm putting up with this stress, I can handle it. But what is happening at the metabolic level, what's happening at the deeper level, is a slow process of chronic disease. How is that we work for so many years and then we get sick and then we lose everything? Well, how is that we cannot be smart about not getting that sick and also smart about reviving ourselves quickly? So that's what I call proactive wellness. So don't say I'm going to do preventive workup at the end of the year, but have a proactive attitude about what is my wellness? How am I? How is my energy? How are my organs working? How is my intellect? How is my memory? How is my imagination? Am I getting more creative, or am I getting see, I'm now 69, right? So I went to a webinar this morning. They were talking about entrepreneurship and leadership. So I learned a few things, and I was very happy. I spent a couple of hours with them. So if you have the intention of learning, it is there every day, and that learning stimulates new brain formation. So you feel anchored to and energetic too. So information overload is real. Information associated problems of depression, anxiety, and also poor attention span, okay, information brain fog, insomnia, and so many diseases associated with stress. I was writing my book on the stress and its toll on modern society. They gave me the statistics of every year, United States itself, only in US, they spend $300 billion on stress-related activities. Stress is mainly because you don't know how to handle your thinking and your emotions. Okay, so to be physically healthy, you got to be healthy in your mind and emotionally balanced, and also socially really have some good vibes about related to other people. All this happens if you know how to handle your thought properly. Okay, you may find things like, oh, how did I don't know these things a long time ago. That's okay, but start now. That is life, right? Hopefully that makes sense for you. There's a very big problem that's brewing up. Okay, we informaticians are aware of it. People who talk about stress are aware of it, and people who really, I mean, a lot of you are not paying attention because they miss that part. You can be very joyful and blissful in this human life and with a clarity of mind and enjoy a lot of things. Okay, just because you are thinking certain way, that doesn't mean that is right. Okay, intellectuals especially, they kind of live in their own mind world, but I want to live in the real world with my mind, using my mind, not led by my mind. Okay, so if you are in the mind, that means you are in the past, you are in the future, you are in the mind. Then you are not living. If you are here and with perception of what is happening and dealing with it, then you are living. Then you will have lot less psychological illness and more blissful existence. So this is why I say human birth is very valuable, because humans have the intelligence to turn inward and find out all these things. Okay, so I will take leave now, and anybody wants to come up, is the last chance before I close the room. Okay, we are all satisfied with what we're talking about, and if you want to have more, you can always DM me, and then I will be able. A lot of people are burning out because of this wrong use of thought and not knowing the potential of thought. You see, the neuroplasticity is because you build on that understanding. The thoughts form their own pathways in the mind if you repeat them again and again and again. So you don't want to do the negative way, but you want to do the positive way. Like if you have affirmation that's good for you, you don't want to lose anything. By the way, in the morning sessions, I also showed them four types of meditation. One type of meditation is about uh, as you take deep breath. This is called Nabhi Bhava Swasa. That means what do you feel when you take a breath in? What do you feel when you take a breath out? Right? So from the umbilicus level, that is a deep breath, diaphragmatic breath. Right? When you take the deep breath in, think of something positive that you want to be or become and all that. But when you let the air go, think of what is the negativity that I really want to let go. Like for example, I say, I want to be unselfish. I want to let go the selfishness in me. And so when I breathe in, I want to be unselfish. Then you breathe out, I say, all selfish now. Let me throw it out. So that kind of thinking really helps you a lot. Okay, and also the deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, and that really helps you to be non-reactive. So don't go out there and say think, 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 and say, "Oh, I'm a deep thinker." No, you are not the deep thinker. You are allowing the thinking go on. When you have a break from the thinking, when you have silence, then you really know what is the real bliss of that stillness. Okay, solitude of mind. When you develop this, when you go away into, you know, lot of people, lot of stimuli coming at you, you would be stable in that. That's the test that you have to give to yourself. Not by medications, not by alcohol, not none of that, but by being there. So see how much quality of life you have there. Okay. All right. With all that, I hope you got what my point is. Use your thought smartly.